In a quiet mountain town blanketed by winter frost, Elijah returns after years of isolation, hoping to rebuild a life from the ruins of his past. He walks with a heaviness in his eyes, a secret gnawing at the edges of his soul. His mother greets him with warmth, but fear flickers beneath her voice. She knows what he carries inside. Elijah tries to settle back in, breathing in familiar pine-scented air. Yet every sound feels louder, every heartbeat too sharp. He wants peace, but peace trembles like prey at the scent of a predator. Nights arrive like ghosts, cold and restless, and Elijah senses the shift before it consumes him. A violent pulse throbs under his skin, bones stretch, instincts rise like wildfire. He fights it, clenching his fists until knuckles crack, but the beast answers to no will but hunger. The transformation rips through him, raw and unforgiving. Dawn reveals claw marks on the walls and blood on his clothes he doesn't remember earning. Shame wraps around him like chains. He stands trembling, caught between man and monster. In town, whispers swirl after livestock are found torn apart near the woods. Sheriff Lane, hardened but perceptive, suspects a predator, but not one listed in any hunter's manual. Elijah watches the news reports, breath trembling. His guilt claws deeper, but he says nothing. He returns to morning chores, trying to pretend he still belongs here. Even a stray dog's bark sends him spiraling with fear. Every moment stretches into a nervous waiting game. At the grocery store, Elijah bumps into Mira, his childhood friend, now a single mother. She smiles, gentle and familiar, and something human stirs inside him again. She talks about her son, about life, about second chances. His chest aches, he wants that kind of future. They share coffee, laughter that shakes the cold out of his bones. But in his mind, the beast growls, reminding him joy is dangerous. Sheriff Lane visits Elijah's home under the pretense of routine checks. He studies Elijah's face with thin suspicion. Elijah stiffens, pulse racing, hands tucked in pockets to hide tremors. The sheriff leaves, but not without warning. Stay safe. Nights are getting dangerous. Elijah locks the door before sinking to the floor, breath ragged. Even law feels like a hunter when the hunted is inside you. A storm rolls in, wind howling like something ancient calling his name. Elijah senses the moon through dense clouds, electricity crawling over his skin. He chains himself inside the barn, praying iron will hold what flesh cannot. The shift comes harder than ever, teeth lengthening, spine warping into something feral. He thrashes, metal rattling, but for once the beast stays caged. When morning comes, he lies exhausted, bruised, but human. For a brief second, hope sparks. Mira offers Elijah a job at her small workshop, trusting him even when he can't trust himself. Working with wood steadies him. Smoothing rough edges into shape feels symbolic. Her son, Liam, clings to Elijah instantly, believing he's some quiet hero. Their laughter fills the workshop like sunlight through dusty windows. But every smile from Mira becomes a weight too heavy. He fears losing control near them. He keeps his sleeves long to hide scratches from the night before. That evening, he sits with his mother, who holds his hands with trembling warmth. "You are not what haunts you," she whispers. He looks away, fearing even her love won't survive the truth. She tells him legends of their bloodline, of a curse older than maps and prayers. He listens, hollow. Love doesn't stop claws. History doesn't soothe hunger. But her voice gives him strength to try one more day. The town council forms patrol groups, believing a bear or wolf stalks the woods. People carry rifles, fear thick in the air. Elijah walks the edge of the forest, head down, feeling hunted even as he is the danger. Each gunshot echo curls fear around his ribs. He wonders if being discovered would be mercy or doom. Still, he keeps walking, forcing legs to move, trying to outrun instinct. One night, the transformation hits early, before he can prepare. Panic grips him like iron. Bones snap, skin tightens, vision blurs into amber fire. He stumbles into the woods, desperate to get far from town. Branches slash at him, earth blurs beneath monstrous limbs. The beast takes control, howling into the night sky. Somewhere, a scream tears through the darkness. Elijah's heart, buried deep inside fur and fury, breaks. Morning brings horror in sunlight. A hunter is found injured, terrified, swearing he saw something not human. Sheriff Lane tightens the search, fear turning to suspicion, suspicion to strategy. Elijah watches from afar, guilt cutting him open like a blade. He scrubs invisible blood from his hands until skin burns. He wants to confess, but words choke, tangled in duty and shame. He retreats deeper into himself, a prisoner of body and fear. Mira confronts Elijah, worried by his sudden distance. Her eyes search his, tender but firm. Elijah tries to speak, to admit the nightmare living in his veins. But instead, he says he's just tired, just overwhelmed. She watches him like someone seeing a storm forming behind gentle eyes. "You don't have to face things alone," she whispers. He steps back, knowing he already has. Sheriff Lane quietly pulls Elijah aside one afternoon, voice low like a loaded gun. "Whatever's causing these attacks isn't normal," he murmurs. "And I need to know if I should be looking close to home." Elijah freezes, throat closing. Sweat beads at his temples as instincts press against skin. Lane's stare lingers like a spotlight in the dark. The sheriff walks away, but the threat hangs like frostbitten breath. Winter deepens, snow burying roads and silence suffocating sound. Elijah feels the beast pacing inside him with restless hunger. He chops wood until palms bleed just to feel human pain. Every night, he ties himself down with ropes that fray and hope that thins. He dreams of forests lit by fire, of ancestors howling under stars. Waking feels like drowning in guilt and fur. Mira's son brings Elijah a hand-drawn picture of all three of them smiling. The innocence in the crayon strokes stabs deeper than claws ever could. Elijah nearly cries, overwhelmed by a future he knows he can never claim. He ruffles Liam's hair with trembling hands. Mira watches, realizing Elijah is breaking under a weight unseen. She hugs him gently, unaware she's holding a wolf in human skin. That night, Elijah's mother falls sick, frail and fading. He sits by her bed, watching her chest rise weakly. She cups his cheek, whispering, "The beast is pain, not identity." Her voice trembles. "You must decide who holds the leash." Tears fall heavy and raw. He grips her hand, wishing love could rewrite blood. Outside, the moon waits like judgment. Sheriff Lane finds torn clothing in the woods, fabric Elijah recognizes as his. The sheriff returns with deputies, suspicion no longer silent. Elijah sees them coming from the window, breath stopping cold. He feels the shift stirring, triggered by panic. Without a word, he flees into the night. Snow swallows footprints as fear swallows humanity. The chase cuts through frozen forest, rifles raised, breath steaming. Elijah shifts mid-run, crashing into trees as limbs warp. Shots echo. He roars, pain and rage twisting into primal sound. Lane sees the creature fully for the first time, eyes of a man drowning inside fur and instinct. The sheriff hesitates, recognizing tragedy over threat. Elijah disappears into shadows before bullets decide fate. Mira finds Elijah wounded at her doorstep hours later, body half-changed and barely conscious. Instead of fear, she kneels, tears slipping, whispering his name again and again. He begs her to leave, to protect her son, but she refuses. She binds his wounds despite claws and blood.